Let's go.
And we are live. Welcome back to Aussie's taking over the NBA. It is a Friday night. Just hang on. Yeah, we're going. Yep, we're clear. We're out. Yep, it's going. So welcome back to Aussie's taking over the NBA. Friday night. We've got another show for you. It's coming up on the playoffs. They're coming. They're coming, man.
Coming thick and fast, man. I think we're down to the last under 10 games for most teams now, actually. So, mate, they're coming. I think 15th of May is the last day of regular season.
Yeah.
And then we have these play-ins, and then
I'm ready for the playoffs, man. The play-ins. Yeah, we will talk about the play-ins tonight. We're also going to talk about Jonah Bolden, Thon Maker, and then the potential of Josh Giddey doing well in the NBL Down Under. He's projecting quite well. There's been a lot of buzz for his draft prospects in the upcoming draft at the end of this season. Then we'll do just some wraparound of the teams. But as always, you can like and subscribe. We're live at the moment on YouTube. We put these up on SoundCloud in audio form. It come through on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. So subscribe to Aussie's Taking Over the NBA for all your Aussie NBA news. Now, the first things first. What's your vibe on these play-ins?
It's kind of a bit stupid.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Says the Philly fan that's just sitting comfortably atop the league, just like, yeah, come on, get on with it.
Yeah, but it's just like it's another round for these teams, and I think Luka Doncic said it best. You play 72 games, and to play a couple more, and then in a kind of a knockout format. If you come in the top 8, you come in the top 8. That's how it's always been. I understand for the bubble last season, it was kind of a necessity because it was such a stop-start season that there was some teams on the cusp, and it was a little bit different. But I think this 72-game season, it's not really needed.
It's hard because the NBA needs something. Like, it needs something. You know what I mean? Whether it's to try and kind of eliminate tanking, like the tanking aspect. Like, that's one part of it. The buzz is kind of sparked up a little bit over the last couple of weeks of, how great's this for tanking? Teams aren't tanking at the moment. And I'm like, yeah, but why don't you just like reverse the seeds and make the lottery the 9 through 15? So coming last is bad. To me, that's a more sensible approach to that. Obviously, it comes with different ramifications. But yeah, this playing thing, I wasn't hyped for it at all. And just cosmically what it is, I'm just like, nah, I don't like that. You can finish 7 and 8. And then it's like you have to go into a tournament and it's just like, haha, you finished 8 and now you're out, you idiots.
It's not like that. It's just like now you're playing 3 more games, potentially more than the team that you're going to play, which is in first place. And then you're just going to get bounced out anyway. So what is the benefit of coming 8th? There's no benefit, right? There's no. You might as well kind of hit that 7th, 8th, and hit that 9th and 10th place. Potentially take a higher pick in the lottery as well, and then try and play off through there. There's reasons to tank games towards the end of the season to hit specific seeds. Maybe you don't match up well against the 7th place team, but you match up well against the 8th place team. So I mean, I think there's more room for potential tampering in that respect, and resting of talent. I mean, this has been the lowest NBA rated season in history, and I think there's been a few reasons why LeBron, the Lakers, being poo-poo for about 20 games, a lot of players being injured because of the hecticness of the schedule.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about that the other day, actually, like just the amount of injuries because these games are just getting jammed in. Like,
yeah, it's teams are having to use depth, but they're not really using depth, and it's kind of like, yeah, well, you've got 20 players on the roster, but number 15 is playing 70 seconds of garbage time a night. So I mean, it's given more players a little bit more opportunity, but then we've had some pretty horrific injuries this season as well. Jamal injury out for the year.
And then I was like, when I looked at the game logs, he played something like 6 games in 9 or 10 nights or something. Yeah. Or something crazy where, and that injury wasn't necessarily, one of those, oh no, he's as he was running, his quad just gave way type of thing. Like, it was like, he made a play, his knee went at an awkward angle and, pushed off on it, and that caused the injury. Like, so it's not like a muscle tear. Like, it's not like a breakdown injury. It was more like a plant, and you've caused yourself an injury. So I don't necessarily think it was because of that. But at the same time, I reckon there would be the injuries would be up on like leg, muscle injuries and stuff like that.
You've got to think as well is that even there's just more wear and tear and stress each night and less time to recover. So maybe, you do land wrong, but your muscles aren't working properly to stabilize your knee, and therefore it goes the other way and it's all over. So yeah, the playoffs, the play-ins, maybe it's just a bit of a revenue grab for certain markets. I don't know, but
I hate that it was good in the bubble. I hate that it became a real thing. I just, I'm gonna sit back and enjoy it. I'm gonna watch it, but I'm still not sitting here going, that's a great thing for basketball. I'm glad this is here. I'm still just a little bit like, ugh. I feel bad for the 7 and 8. The whichever of the 7 and 8, like it's either Portland or Memphis maybe, or Miami
Spurs,
or Charlotte.
Yeah, but we'll go down. But Spurs are in that. So if you want to see Paddy in the post, he's probably going to be playing in the play-in.
And to see one of those teams just embarrassingly get trundled out in the play-in tournament, and everyone's going to laugh at him, just like, oh, you finished 7 and you didn't make the playoffs, like first team ever, haha. Like I hate the concept of that happening. Pretty but just looking, so we got Miami and Charlotte. At the moment, in Indiana and Washington. Washington just out of nowhere, just rattled off like 8 and 9 or something.
I think this team had a lot of injuries to start the season. I think it's a bit interesting playing with Westbrook. They haven't really got a lot of depth past Bill Westbrook and Hachimura.
So I think had a sweet poster on AD, your man Rui.
Yeah, Rui indeed. So it's taken a while for this team to gel, but I think they're probably the highest momentum team in that bottom half of the league. I think that they could potentially rattle off another 7 to 8 games in this 10-game stretch and maybe sneak even out of the play-ins. So they're the form team to watch, or the dark horse to kind of take it into the postseason. Will they beat like a Philly or Brooklyn? Probably not.
Nah.
But it'll be interesting to see.
It'll garner some hype though. Like you can feel they're just Westbrook's gonna bark. He's gonna bark, and they might cause an upset, and then realistically it'll just be like, oh yeah, 4-1, thanks, and everyone will go, oh yeah, that's Westbrook, yeah.
Not a top-rated team, but it's been an interesting stretch for them. They've been doing well, and Westbrook's I think he's had 13 triple doubles in the month of April. Something ridiculous. And real ones too. Let's be honest, those ones from a couple of years ago were absolutely the fakest of fake. Triple doubles. These ones are like he's carrying the team, and I'm not the biggest Westbrook fan. I think as a basketball player, he's an excellent player, but I've never been a fan of the whole like you bark a lot and you haven't really done anything type of player. And I'm looking at this little run and going, fair play. He's playing well. The jump shot's working well, and I think it says to his level when everything just gets out of his way and he can just shoot the ball and there's no consequences. It's not like Houston was like the spotlight's on him because everyone's getting out of the way, and it's like, how great is this? Because everyone, and it's just like, no, just let the guy ball. Like we don't need to like, exacerbate and highlight all the great things a team's doing just to get out of the way of Westbrook. Like I think he's got the perfect platform there to just ball. Like I'm just balling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It doesn't even need to be, the highlight. He can sit back on plays and stuff like that. And then Rui, he's playing quite well as well. So it's been good to watch. It is.
The Pacers, they are just looking at these other teams around. Like we've got Chicago and then Toronto. Chicago feels like pretenders. There's no way they're going to make it. No. Toronto is probably a little bit too far back.
Yeah, too far back, and that team's just been terribly built. It's the fallout. I mean, it's a pretty similar team, minus Ibaka and Gasol, but just shows you how informed that team was to make it to the finals that season, and how realistically that form was just a bit fluky.
Yeah, lightning in a bottle. I wouldn't necessarily say fluke. I'd say it's lightning in a bottle. All the good things come together at once. Ibaka's just been out for the Clippers too. I think he's been out for like 20 games or something like that.
That's why they signed DeMarcus Cousins to the rest of the season.
Sure thing. I think he was playing on 10 days and putting up some numbers too.
Yeah, and he's the only 10-day contract player in history to get double teamed consistently. It's just like I'm like a third string center, yet I get double teamed on every play.
Yeah, he's a big unit. So I don't know. I kind of like it, Miami, Charlotte, Washington, Indiana in those play-ins on the eastern side to play, a Philly or a Brooklyn, and then over to the west, Portland, Memphis, San Antonio. I think the Pelicans. I think I made the prediction on the last episode that the Pelicans are going to come home strong, and it's going to be and they've kind of just died as well, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I They're a terribly coached team. Let's
They
be
are.
real.
There's so much.
Dan Van Gundy's just absolutely trash. So that's kind of
He's
why.
been getting panned by everyone, man. Everything I listen to, they're all just like, Dan Van Gundy's terrible.
Terrible coach. And you've got some real talent on that team as well. Ingram, Zion. I mean, even Lonzo Ball to some extent. But yeah, man, that team's just poorly coached, poorly executed. And I don't know if they'll make the play-ins, and if they do, I don't see them really going that far. They've got a pretty hard end of the stretch games as well. They've got a couple of big games coming up, which could easily end in losses for them. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's currently Portland, Memphis, San Antonio, Golden State. You would think Memphis and Portland are pretty much locked in.
Portland's been on a bad losing streak though. They could.
They've still got 4 wins on that Warriors spot.
Okay.
So or 4 losses rather. Warriors are down 4 losses, but I think Portland's got enough of a nucleus there, like that, to not fall out. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that team is a better team. Like there's been a lot of talk about the Warriors and how much Curry is having to like put that team on his back. But if you look at this Portland team, like Lillard and Curry, you would think are sort of similar sort of in similar positions, not necessarily carrying the team, but I think that Portland team's a better all-round team.
Yeah, it's got a better depth of defensive players. I mean, Golden State's had a good defensive run and some big wins, but they also did have a very, very poor start to the season and some very, very underskilled players for the amount of salary cap they have. Even though it's going to be weird even when Clay comes back. I don't see how that team goes top 4 even with Clay back.
Yeah, maybe not top 4. I think they're a comfortable playoff team. At the very least, at the floor level, they're a comfortable playoff team with Clay back. If he's any kind of... It's the defense, man. Everyone kind of just forgets that, all right, if you don't have that off guard who's, a lock-up defender, then that Warriors team is just like a bunch of G League dudes, basically. And like one Toscano Anderson who's just running on pure, like, I'm so happy to be here, man. Like, I'm just so happy I've got a contract and I'm playing NBA night to night. And they're throwing him in those Clay situations where it's like, just get on a defender, just get on an attacker, like get on play on guards even. Like he's having to defend guards and stuff, and he's doing really well. And that was crazy when he went into the monitors the other night and had like 30 stitches in the back of his head. It's like, what a nut, huh?
That's commitment, man. Steve Kerr would have been fucking praising him behind the sheds.
Yeah, and then 2 days or 3 days later, he's just back, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing, you lunatic, man?" Absolutely, it's like run through brick walls, man. Run through brick walls. It's just like, you're a nut. But yeah, hopefully the Spurs. I think we'll definitely get to see the Spurs in this play-in, barring some sort of crazy losing streak.
That's another team we just like. They've got a lot of underrated talent, but the talent hasn't come to fruition yet. And
it's a few years away. Yeah.
It's a few years away, and I look at this draft class, and outside of LaMelo Ball and Edwards, it's been pretty bad.
Yeah, I think Halliburton's been pretty good for the Kings. It's so hard. Like, there's been a few players that should be good, and they went to teams that were kind of disappointing. And then you kind of get this sense of like, if those players went to crap teams, they'd just go on crap teams, put up some numbers. Like Edwards type scenario where I look at Edwards and see like the rawness, but you don't necessarily go, wow, this guy's going to be great like in a couple of years. Like I can see like kind of like LaMelo as well. LaMelo's kind of just over the crest of that wave where you're just like, wow, this guy, once he, really physically kind of fills out in his mid-20s, he's going to be, a good player in this league because he's such a stick, man. I was watching some highlights of him the other day. He's so light and he got pushed around a little bit at the start of the season, but then sort of, fought his way back. And I think he's got the skills and the attitude as well as, throwing some flashy plays here and there. Like he's got that confidence to do that. Whereas Edwards is just like a pure attacking player. Like his kind of pedigree is garnered by I just attack, and I'm in the perfect spot here in this terrible Minnesota team to attack.
It's funny because this Minnesota team's just strung all these wins together, even though it's way too late.
Yeah, well, that's not the worst team, man. Like, especially with Towns and Russell, like both of those two guys are in situations where, if nobody's looking at them, like they'll rattle off some wins and everyone will go, oh yeah, they're actually a good team, and then like everyone focuses on them and they start losing it, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I knew they'd lose, And, everyone, walk away, guys. They're terrible. And then I'll string some wins together. And I was like, oh, yeah, Carl Anthony Towns and, and D'Angelo. Like, that's not a bad team. And Anthony Edwards. And Nasri just quietly, almost injuring dudes, just flailing around everywhere today. I'm just like, every time he's a massive dude, man. He's absolutely massive. And he just flails around so much. But that team a couple of years ago with Jimmy Butler, didn't they make the playoffs when they were 7th, 8th seed?
7th or 8th seed, yeah.
And then just got bounced out.
That was the Butler factor, though.
Yeah.
Butler will take you to the playoffs. That's just him, man. He's a freaky player.
Because I'm just going back. What season was that?
That was not last year, the year before.
It was
our first season on the pod.
It was 2017-18. Tibbs. There you go, eh? New York Knicks Tibbs. And then, just bounced out by the Houston Rockets. And then I think Karl Anthony Towns, for what he's been through, I think he, he's earned, not necessarily, pity. No, pity's not the right word, but he's earned it just that dude's a human. Let's not just go, why isn't this guy good yet? He's got all the skills. Why isn't he good? Why isn't he good? Everyone, why isn't he good? Why isn't he good? The entire narrative around him over the last couple of years was just he's not fulfilling potential. And you're just calm down, man.
He's also had some bad coaches.
Yeah, and in pretty bad teams, and it's obvious he's not. I'm just going to put the guy it's not. He doesn't have the skill set to. I'm going to put this team on my back and just take them to some sort of relevancy. He's definitely not that guy. So and then the roster upheaval, coach upheaval, the Jimmy Butler factor. But it's quite little. Couple of years.
Seasons.
Yeah,
Two
couple
seasons. Of seasons. If they draft well next year, because they'll have a pick.
Let's move away from that now to Jonah Bolden.
Retiring from
retirement? Is that confirmed?
Yeah, there was an article that came out last week because I follow him on Insta, and it was kind of Jonah Bolden getting accustomed to life after basketball. I was like, all right, so I'll read the article, and it's pretty much just how he's just some crypto. Dude now, he set up an investment firm in 2015 when he kind of just before he entered the league on crypto. So this dude was kind of hit the crypto wave pretty early, and I think he does a lot of market investments for sports players who want to get into crypto. So he's kind of set his business, and he's not really getting into basketball at all. So I think after he got waived by Philly and he kind of got thrown out of the Australian team, that was the end. I think he fell out of love and. There hasn't been a lot of basketball stuff on there at all. It's
a real shame, man, because he had a lot of talent. Could shoot the ball.
Definitely NBA level, just not really.
Little Nick Kyrgios vibes? Without the tantrums?
Yeah, without the tantrums, I think, but maybe a little bit just fell out of love with the game and found a better way. If it wasn't for the money and he wasn't getting what he wanted, then I suppose now he's a businessman and getting more out of it.
Bolden Ventures, I see here. Preparing to launch their first digital asset fund with a laser focus on financial literacy, open access, education, and economic inclusion, according to the sources familiar with the team. Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, so what a shame. I would have loved to have seen him come down to Sydney Kings, man, play for the Kings. That would have been great. Would have been perfect.
Any NBL, that would have been mad.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. So yeah, is that it? You reckon we'll never see him again? Never to be seen again?
Maybe if crypto, tanks and you need some cash, you might see him in a.
Yeah, crypto might tank. Those video highlights might eclipse Bitcoin. They're terrible.
NFTs, man. NFTs.
Absolutely terrible. So talking about Bolden's, remember he signed a $7 million deal, right? That was a guaranteed deal, $7 million over 3 years, 3 years, maybe? 4 years. Yeah, that's a pretty big investment in him for him to just oh no, I'm out crypto.
It was a big investment in him, but I think after he got waived out after that 10-day from the Phoenix Suns, it was kind of that's it. Maybe he wasn't willing to go back to Europe, wanted to stay in the States, and this is the only way kind of thing. So, yeah, man, I think the NBA dream has passed him by.
Speaking of NBA dreams, what about Thon Maker?
Thon, on the other hand, seems to be, just getting yacked and training b-ball, but no 10-day contracts, no rest of the season contracts, and I don't think any of the finals teams have open roster spots. So I don't know what the case is, man. Will he get into the European League, maybe move to a big European powerhouse, or come down under? I don't know. That's yet to be seen.
It's a shame, man, because it popped up on my timeline again, that crazy game he had against Boston.
Yeah, it was, epic. And it's just like some of those highlight reels, if you could just stay that consistent, then, but yeah, it's kind of,
there's also been some worryingly bad moments.
There's been some worryingly bad
moments. Like he got dunked all over by Giannis and stuff like that. Like things that just make you go, oh, jeez, man. Yeah. But I think if he was to kind of work on some of the fundamentals of his game, he definitely has the length, and I think a base to add power to. Like he was always quite stringy for a forward. If he could add some power to that base, get on that Giannis workhorse diet, and get on that Giannis fitness diet, I think he could have a real sort of bounce scoring move to break into a team. Like I don't think he's going to make a team by just being, so you just grab boards and just general around the rim protection. It's like that's not going to make a team. I feel like that's absolute minimum, and you're going to be lucky if a team picks you up just on that alone.
Yeah, I think it just seems like the bench role of the five is less of the kind of the slink out to the corner shooter. That seems to be if you're a good starting center, that's what you do. But you look at all these bench centers around the league, and they're just kind of like block specialists, paint block specialists. They don't really do anything too dramatic. They don't really add a lot of value to the team. So maybe he gets a start next year. See what this next draft class is like in terms of centers, because this draft class has been pretty bad in terms of centers.
Yeah, Wiseman. I think Wiseman's got some potential, but
he's got potential.
He's like only 19, barely played any basketball, and like to go to the Warriors, man, it was just like, yeah, probably the wrong team for him. Like he kind of should have gone to the Timberwolves. Yeah. Even if Cat was there, he could have played second fiddle to Cat, come off the bench, no eyes on him. But in the Warriors, like everyone's just expecting like this guy has to put up 20 a night. Shoot the ball and block shots and just be awesome. And you're just like, he's clearly not awesome. Like, let's like
that. When was the last time Warriors had a center they ever played around?
True.
It's not a basketball system set up for a center.
And I think it's less about his base level and his ability, and more about, can you come into this team and be a unique player? And then, like, as a young guy, you're probably sitting there going, can't I just ball, man? Like, I just want to ball. So, no. You got to do these things. You got to do that. You got to have IQ here. When this is happening, you got to, and you just be going like, geez, like, I just want to get the ball and ball, man. Like, I'm a 19-year-old coming off a few games in college and the COVID outbreak season. That, and he just kept getting reffed off the floor as well, which was hard to take for a rookie. In that situation where he's playing for the Warriors, that's going to happen. In a team like that, that's going to happen. But I don't know, man. Thon, and the most unlucky sort of timing to that too. Like, if all of this kind of went down earlier maybe in this season, like the NBA season, he might have been able to just go out the side door to the NBL type scenario.
Yeah,
a little bit like Deng Adele. Like Deng Adele was in that right spot where he kind of side door to the Hawks, and everyone, like Deng Adele's gone to the Hawks, like And
Brian Goorjian literally did nothing with him.
Just lit him up, and he's out of there.
Yeah, that was a weird kind of thing. Just like, I'll just revolve this whole team around 20-foot floaters from Tyler Harvey and Justinian Jessup, and he's just like, Deng Adele, you sit in that corner. It was the all over thing. It was the Cavs all over again. These poor guys just gone from team to team. They just told him to stand in the corner and eat shit. And I've seen Deng Adele play for the Raptors 905. Man, he's a good player.
Yeah.
When you give him a set role in a team, and he just hasn't had that in any professional team yet. So I know he's left the Hawks. Man, I hope we pick him up in Sydney. That would be a great pickup.
That'd be nice. He definitely has left the Hawks. There was a lot of rumors.
Yeah, it's definitely left the Hawks.
Definitely officials. Official?
They have parted ways.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I don't know. Like when that happens, I'm always like, don't know about that, man. Don't know about that. Yeah, but I also think in his case, right, he's also another player that's like, yeah, I slash a lot, and you know, do you do anything else? Yeah, I play a bit of defense. Like, it's almost like those two things are a bit. It's like nah, out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whereas 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago, it was like, ooh, slasher and can do another thing. Sweet, you're in. You're on this roster. But now it feels like these players need to be really multi-dimensional, just to get a look in.
Yeah, it just seems like unless you're dishing dimes, you're an elite defender. You really just have to shoot the 3 ball at above 40%. If you you have to come out for 6 minutes a night, have 1 or 2 attempts, and hit one of them. That's your goal. That's it, and play a little bit of defense. There doesn't seem to be any kind of room in the NBA rosters for like a guy that comes off the bench and gets the cup a couple of times. It's like, no, you don't do that. You just stand in the corner. If the ball comes to you, shoot. Stand in the corner. If the ball comes to you, shoot it, and you hit it once out of 2 times, and you get off the floor. And it just
yeah, it's just bizarre, man. It really is bizarre watching this NBA at the moment.
It's really obvious when teams get injured, when star players get injured, and these guys have to play 20 minutes a night. They have no idea how to score because their job isn't to score. Their job is to stand in the corner and wait for a ball, and that's their 6 minutes an hour. So when they've got to take up 12 minutes, you're going to have to mix it up. Teams will know that that's exactly what you've got to do. It's easy to hide in a rotation if you're there for 5 or 6 minutes a night. If you're playing 12 to 15 minutes and you can't do anything else but that, it's going to be a long, long evening for you. And I've seen that from a lot of players.
And then
the inside game in the NBL from guards is completely gone.
Say that again.
The inside game from 3D kind of wing plays has gone. They don't have inside games anymore.
It's all all spread perimeter, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's really accentuated now, I think, too, because of how good Jokic is as well. Like you look at a player like Jokic, he's got so many moves, and then you go like, oh, he's not explosive. And you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look right for the NBA. You're just like, how is a player like that, like complete pudding and like not explosive, yet has all the moves, all the passing, all the inside game, could shoot the ball, like, and it kind of accentuates the amount of wing players that are just like, well, I'll just do one thing and stand in the corner. Because that's kind of how the game is now. And then you look at some of these, superfluous players that come in, like a really good example is Gafford on that Washington team. And there's just like a crazy amount of hype. It's like, oh my God. Ah. And everyone's eyes suddenly go like, and look at that. And like you get hyped for about 6 seconds and it's like, oh, the hype machine's over. Let's move on to someone else. And everyone goes looking for someone else. And then it's almost, I feel like that's seeping into teams, the way they play. It's just like, I'm searching through my lineups to find just one guy to throw in who'll give us this, like, oh, he had a Facebook highlights run for about 6 games. And then on to the next guy. Like, who's the other guy I could do that with? Like, stuff like that's kind of happening as well. It's a little bit, it's a bit weird.
There's no real defined roles anymore. It's just wait for your ball, and then you shoot it. And if you don't shoot above 38%, you're out.
And it's interesting. You look at what the Spurs did to go back to that Spurs team. In the early from early 2010 onward, kind of changed the way basketball was played. Like, it was all about movement, about passing, extra man, cutting. And then it's kind of evolved a little bit with the Warriors as well. Like, I mean, it's gone to another level in that sense. There's like added shooting and added movement and stuff like that. And now it feels like, to me, it's going back to, let's hybridize it even more. And it's just like, get out of the way in threes. Like, how great's that? It's like, I look at it and just go, nah, it's not great, man.
No, it's not for me.
And it kind of teaches players, like it teaches teams to be like, if we could just jack up some threes and then, play some D, like, then we'll win. And then I feel like, in 5 years, we're going to be talking about how that era's over and that era spawned something weird again. Like, it's not going to go in I don't feel like this is going to go in a basketball sense. It's going to go in like a weird direction, like Houston, where everyone's just like, how mad is like, spreading the floor and, not having centers. And then I was like, I don't think so. Like, you still got to have centers. Like, what the hell? And then, it's these weird hybridized things that I'm curious to see over the next few years how these things are going to play out, especially with the Warriors dynasty passing and the levels that they were kind of playing team basketball. Yeah, because Philly's not like that at all either. Like, Philly's got like this in out Embiid, like it's all sorts, man. It's great.
Yeah, it's better to watch.
Mm.
Brooklyn's a little bit like that. There's a little bit more, intrinsic scoring with Kyrie doing some pretty crazy things, and some other guys getting involved. But man, you kind of look at you look at even kind of Miami. Miami's very much just like in and out, kind of. He's Duncan Robinson hoiking up shots. He's Tyler Hero hoiking up shots. Yeah, it's a weird nightly occasion. You don't know what kind of you're going to get on each game. But
and then just quietly Bam Adebayo just being like, yeah, I got the bag. It's all good. You're going to play hard? Nah. Maybe once every 3 or 4 games. It's just like, damn, man, that's crazy.
It'd be interesting to see what this Miami does in the postseason. So I write them off, but they are a chance.
Well, they're definitely gonna make the playoffs, and I felt like this year would be for them. Like I still felt like they overachieved, and that's not a slight on them. Like I'm not trying to degrade what they actually achieved, but I still thought I was just like, this is a bit punching above your weight here. Like, I never felt like it's kind of a little bit like the Bucks as well. It's the same as like, you guys aren't really like elite. And no, we are. And it's like, okay, we'll do it, prove it in a series, and you lost. It's like, well, you can say you are, but until you do it, type of thing. But then again, Miami did make it all the way to the finals, and that was, that's an achievement in itself. With Jimmy going down injured. He got injured, didn't he? Remember?
Yeah. He just broke down. His body just doing too much.
Yeah, just broken back from lifting that team on his back. Josh Giddey. Let's talk quickly about the upcoming draft at the end of this season. Josh Giddey, man, they're talking potential lottery.
Yeah, he's ranked 14th, which is interesting. I think he's kind of a little bit LaMelo clone in the way that he started his career. I mean, he's not a great shooter, but LaMelo wasn't a great shooter either. But what he does have is 6'8", floor visibility, can pass the ball, and has notched up a triple-double in the NBL, which is much, much harder than the NBA. So, and that's on a team that's pretty poor and a team that's had a lot of injuries. And the quality you're going to have in the NBA surrounding you is going to be 10 times better. So that's going to be interesting to see what he does from a facilitation perspective in this draft and what team he kind of goes to. But if he falls to 14, then that's kind of mid lottery. It'd be interesting to see if like a Chicago Bulls or something like that pick him up as a facilitation expert with kind of Vooch and Levine. I think that'd actually be a really good match for him. Something like that where you've got a couple of shooters around, but you've got some guys that can put the ball on the floor. At 6'8", he's going to be able to guard 1 through 3 as well. Get a little bit more of an NBA body, but he's probably our best prospect since Ben Simmons.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think he has the height of Ben. I don't think he's going to hit the heights that Ben Simmons is going to hit. I mean, we'll talk about Philly after this, but if you compare him to Simmons, like, did you ever see that defensive aspect of Simmons?
No. Ben Simmons was a good defender when he first came in the league. He had flashes of brilliance, but he has become the premier defender. I mean, there's very few people in the league, probably 3 that can go through 1 through 5, and he's one of them. The other thing is that just his athleticism, probably Josh Giddey doesn't have as well. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be terrible in the league. Look at Jokic, 6'11", 7 foot passing specialist big. So
pudding.
Pardon?
Pudding. Remember that? He's so good to watch, but man. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
It's just freaky. So yeah, this will be an interesting draft to see what he can bring to the NBA and if he gets much game time next year.
Yeah, well, the athletic part is definitely. I think he has a ceiling that doesn't really go past, the floor of what Simmons is as a defender. But at the same time, I think he has the potential to be a better facilitator. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. Like, Simmons has already hit the heights. I think he's definitely one of the better playmakers in the league. He's got a really good team, a nice blend of players in Harris and Embiid, a good big man who's got a good chemistry with. I'd like to see Giddey be a playmaker first. Like, Simmons has done the defensive thing, and you're like, wow, that's great defense. But I'd like to see Giddey come into the league, and then everyone just be like, wow, what a playmaker, 6'8". I think he's got a more powerful frame too than LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
So it'd be very interesting to see how he goes in an NBA environment. I don't see him, becoming some sort of staunch beast in the way that Simmons. Like Simmons is almost like got like LeBron's body.
Yeah.
You know,
LeBron's body and taller and faster.
Yeah.
I definitely think he's faster than the prime LeBron. Probably not as powerful, but faster. When he's in open court, you're not going to catch him.
Yeah, I know. And then I think, again, another year where all the lead up is going to be just have NBL plastered all over it too. Again, like we saw LaMelo have the NBL plastered all over him. Do we have someone the year before? Why am I... Oh, no, RJ Hampton. Sorry, it was RJ Hampton. Just that aspect too. Again, man, I'm like, great, just plaster. And even it's Adelaide, like, just plaster that all over. Like, he played for Adelaide, oh, he was down in the NBL. Because you still kind of hear the odd, like, analysts being like, oh, played in some bum league. And you're like, just, dude, call it the NBL. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you calling it a bum league? Like, and I just love, like, every time they play LaBello highlights and he's in a Hawks jersey, I'm always just like, great. Like, perfect. Is exactly what I want to see, because more exposure on the NBL means the potential of more young guys coming down to be next stars. Like we've just seen Diddy sign with the Pelicans. We've seen JT play a season with the Kings and sign and getting like huge plaudits too. Like for a guy who was one of the best players in the NBL the season that he played, getting huge props, and everything falls back again onto the Kings. And you're going, yes, more promo. Like, this is exactly what I want to see. Because over the next few years, like we were talking about how the G League's getting some reform to kind of start maybe swallowing up some of those next stars that come down.
So what I think is the G League will swallow up a lot of that. But I think what will happen is we will get the kind of 20 to 50 draft and stash players in the NBL. I think that's where we'll sit. I don't think we'll see those 18-year-olds that are coming for their first professional season, but I think what we'll see is, drafted 32, 27, 40 coming down for a season between the NBL to develop their skills and potentially go back. That's where we'll probably be as a league, which is still good, man. We still picked up, Justinian Jessup's been a pretty amazing talent this year. I think he got drafted like 58th. Have they always gone on to have great careers? No, not necessarily, but they're still of a high caliber and a high quality watch, which is fun, and it's good for our league as well, because it pushes our league around the world, and it means that we've got an avenue here to kind of watch elite basketball, which
it almost feels like it's the premier destination.
I think a lifestyle. I mean, mate, we have no COVID. Well, what else do you want in the world? There's no.
You just can't really get in the country.
You just can't really get in the country.
But we'll have to wait and see over the next couple of seasons.
Yeah, well, if you got a job, I mean, they have to come down and do their quarantine. That's fine. Jarrell Martin came here. That's all good. If you're working down here, they're happy to bring you for special permits. I think sports is one of them. That's fine. But you just can't have a fly in, fly out. But hey, you get to live free as a bee while you're here.
So the Bleacher Report mock draft currently has Giddey at 16. Potentially to the Grizzlies.
That's just completely not void. Why would you even send him there?
Yeah, this Grizzlies team.
John Morant.
Yeah, John Morant. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's hard too, because we've just seen Exum kind of injuries ruin his career, and that's you're not ready to go. That's a bust. You're kind of more in the injuries have stolen the chance at a career for him. And then there's some other ones like Deng and Dell, some other guys like that. I like the go there for a few years and then from there be 22, 23, get your experience, and if you're good enough you keep going. If you're not, then you can go somewhere else. I kind of like that more as a development path, not just like you're super hyped and you got a chance at a guaranteed deal or a G League deal, and then it's just like the curtain's closed and it's like, well, I couldn't get a deal, so I have to go somewhere else type of thing. Like I prefer like the Dante Exum type path of like you get your time at a team as a rookie. You don't necessarily come into a high profile type of environment, and as a player, as a high profile pick, you just play for a few years and then you develop. Like I think Giddey's more on that path than he's superstardom type of thing. Yeah,
probably not that high, but top player for our league.
Yeah.
It's definitely putting Australian basketball in the right direction.
Yep. So let's move now to some teams. Start with 76ers.
Yeah, mate.
Ben Simmons.
Defensive duo, Simmons and Tybal. Top 10 steals each.
Tybal looks like a Simmons clone, man. It's like Ben Simmons and then he's his Padawan. It's crazy. Like his defense is just out of this world, man.
Highest guard block in the league, playing 20 minutes a night.
He's so long. The amount of blocks he gets is absurd. So yeah, blocks per game. He's first among all guards, and then they're in the playoffs, so they've clinched that berth. Is Joel Embiid MVP? Yeah, it's hard, man. No,
Jokic is, man. You got to look at MVP as also a guy that's played the majority of games. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, is that there's probably other players out there. Chris Paul, you don't like him, but is he the most valuable player? He took a tanking OKC to the playoffs. He's taken the Phoenix Suns to the first playoff in 10 seasons. He took the Houston Rockets to the playoff. He took the Clippers to the... this guy's done it over and over and over again. That's a valuable player. Joel Embiid, yes, they go to the playoffs every season. Yes, the East is a bit easier. Has he played enough games? Probably not. He's got to do it in the postseason, man. They've got to get to the championship game. That's all it is. They don't get there, he's not the MVP. And that's why I don't like the MVP being a regular season thing. I mean, okay, if you're not the finals MVP, then you're not the finals MVP. But I like the fact that maybe they award this after the Eastern Conference Finals. After the conference finals, they award MVP, because I think that's when maybe some of these players will have time to shine. Whereas with what it is now, then it's kind of not what it is.
I like just scoring, like attribute awards, scoring leader, assist leader, rebounds leader, like giving individual awards like that. The MVP still to me feels like, it's a gray area, because no matter who you pick, a bunch of people are going to get upset. There's no definition and clear definition of who was the best. Because if Jokic gets picked, you're like, nah, that's bullshit. Should have been Embiid. And if Embiid gets picked, nah, Jokic was robbed. If Curry somehow makes it, like a whole bunch of people go, yes, and everyone goes, that's bullshit. His team sucks. Like, no way. You know what I mean? Like, there should be, to me, there should be some clear definitions as to who is a winner of an award. Not like a bunch of people vote on it and then heaps of people get upset because of whoever gets the award. Like, a scoring award would be great, or like a total points award maybe.
Yeah, but then you give it to Bradley Beal, who's done nothing because he's on a bum team. So I think that's even...
He gets a little fanfare, a little confetti gets thrown his way. Good on you.
Yeah.
But it's, again, the same thing, I guess. Yeah, there you go. It's the same thing. It's like, that's bullshit. No, fuck that guy. Like, you know what I mean?
I think it should go off total win share. It should be like a accumulated system. So total win share.
Currently, Nikola Jokic, 13.7 win shares. Win shares per 48.297.
Yeah, that's probably the right choice then.
I still like Embiid, but
yeah, I know. So do I. I'm an Embiid fan, but he just hasn't played enough games for me.
Oh, it sucks. It sucks that is what it. I hate that. I just hate that, man. I don't like it. Like, I don't like this. Like, he got a bit injured. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's clearly better. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyone else for a shout? Giannis this year? No.
Nah.
Highest in free throw attempts?
No.
Nah, I think, yeah. And your Chris Paul argument has merit.
It's the same as the Jimmy Butler argument.
Just quietly, there's an absolute bumper game tomorrow, that Utah Suns game tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's going to be a good game. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Is this a good segue to go on to Joe Ingles and his potential Steph Curry MVP breaking record?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Highest true scoring percentage season on record, 47.8% 3-point percentage this year. That is fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. True shooting percentage, 0.702. Far out. Effective field goal percentage, 0.683. That's fucking nuts.
It's bonkers for anyone. I mean, is he the MVP? Should he be
He's the MVP. It's funny because he's just kind of like shooting threes and that's about it. And doing a little playmaking here and there.
I mean, but is he valuable? He's, is he the MVP of the Utah Jazz? I know it's probably Donovan Mitchell, but that is a pretty phenomenal record to break with, not being low numbers as well. He's not, playing 10 minutes a
volume
night,
type guy, yeah.
4 points. He's a volume guy. Like, he's shooting 10 threes a night. He's making 5 of them. He's facilitating. He's got a couple of steals. The Jazz are winning. What else do you want?
Just looking points per game. 12.2 points per game. But he's a career 8.7 points a game scorer. So that's a great leap for him, really. And getting the recognition too. Everyone's sort of giving him the praise. Just looking at some of his recent games. 5 of 10 against the Kings. Then a little bit cold, 3 of 9, 3 of 7. And then 6 of 12 against the Lakers. 5 of 8 against the Lakers again. 6 of 10 against Houston. I think this team... He had his career high, 34. There you go. There's a new career high.
Does he get most improved player?
Yeah, possibly. That's a good shout.
Does he get sixth man of the year? He's come off the bench for most of the season. Like,
sixth man of the year is not a bad shout either. Who is most improved though? Randall?
Yeah, Julius Randall probably. Yeah. I mean, that's just massive improvements in the season.
He is leading league leader in minutes per game though.
Yeah, well, that is, if you're winning, you got to do what you got to do.
True. So Joe Ingles, are they the real deal? How deep can they go?
I think they can. I think they can take the Lakers. I think they can. Look, I didn't know if they were the real deal this season. I think they could be the real deal, but I think the first round playoffs is going to tell us, what's going to happen in that respect.
I like the format and the formula that they have. You know what I mean? It's not a team where you're looking at it and just going, "Oh, there's a chink in this armor somewhere here. I'm going to look for it." Like, I still think it's a solid platform for that team. Like, whether or not it's good enough and has the pedigree and has the longevity to make the finals and even win everything, I still like the base that they're on. Like, it's all vortex pick and roll. They've got a good off the bench guy. They've got some good shooters playing well. The Donovan Mitchell injury puts a little bit of a spanner into the works at the moment. He'll come back just prior to the finals, I think, and then it'll be a team that has some balance. It's not just, oh my god, they have a great player and he's great. Oh, he got injured and now they get bounced out in the first round. Oh, what a shame, type of thing.
Yeah, and that's really what it's about. It's about how does this team push beyond the first round? Can they do it? Can they manage injuries in the last few games? Do they just not play players? You know what I mean? Like, they've already hit their heights. Well, why do we need to worry about injuries? So it'll be interesting to see what they do, down this stretch and who they play in the first round, which won't be known until these play-ins.
Let's quickly move to our favorite team, the Mavericks. Had an absolutely just nard blasting win over the Warriors. Just a 28-0 run. That kind of feels. That's kind of a good segue into what I'm talking about, like where they have these crazy games where you're just like, oh my god, like wow, like Luka Doncic had a mad game, then you can just watch him for 3 games straight and just be like, what's all the hype about? Like, I don't get it. And then he has a mad game and you're just like, oh, get blown off your seat again. And that's this Mavericks team. Like, there was the whole, Cuban coming out and being like, yeah. They go at each other a little bit, him and Porzingis. Like, they don't really like each other. And I was just like, whoa, man, shit. All right. But they're looking at their roster, man. It's still like, I look at it and just go, man, it's like the dregs of the, like, it's not the dregs. It's like it's like a flea market, man. It's like flea market bargains.
Players.
Yeah. It's really like that. It's weird seeing like Willie Cauley-Stein play for them, and even Richardson almost feels like flea market style player. But yeah, it's hard.
But
and
Josh Green getting some minutes, man. That's the important thing, isn't it? And having some good defensive stops, playing well defensively. That's the kind of play they need. They need him to play 12. Tim Hardaway Jr. having his career high at 42 as well. Last game.
Yeah, and he's another guy where it's like, it's 42, and then for the next 3 weeks he's going to have average like 6 points a game.
That's it. I mean, they need that 3-and-D wing, stable wing defensive player that can take on, tougher scoring players, because Luka doesn't play any defense. Tim Hardaway Jr. doesn't play any defense. Richardson is a good defensive player, but not playing, always on the bigger players. So what do you do in that respect? I think Josh Green's a good option to come off the bench, play a bit of 3-and-D, His minutes are starting to pick up. He's starting to become an important part of the rotation, and look out, he will be there come playoffs and finals time.
Just looking at his, he had 16 minutes against the Kings. He had 10 minutes against the Warriors in that blowout. He hit a 3 in that game. It was pretty sweet. And then he had 15 minutes against Detroit, 2 of 2. It's still...
They're not going to dial up offense. He's there as a defensive guard.
Yeah, it's just a body, basically. Play some defense, harass some dudes, pick up the Towels Rook type scenario.
Pretty much.
But what about in the Aussie Boomers team?
He may get more looks. He's going to have better facilitation.
Is he in the squad?
I think so.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, I think he is. But there's been nothing really mentioned about that. So as soon as we get some news, we'll
Tokyo. Yeah. Let's move to the Spurs. Currently sitting 9th. We did a little bit of spiel on the Spurs when we were talking about those play-ins. But Paddy, just in general,
have a good season.
Yeah, man.
Great season. A little bit injured, a little bit time off, but is expected with the wear and tear. He's going to be important come these play-ins if they're to secure a spot and get bounced out in the first round, because really that's where it'll be. I mean, I just don't think that they have the talent, anymore. I don't think they have great big men, and that's really going to struggle in that respect. And I don't think they have really good defensive guards either. But that's the hand that they're dealt at the moment with the way it's drafted. Pop's probably got a couple of seasons up his sleeve in order to kind of mold this team to something. Well, they're definitely in a rebuilding, reshaping phase. I just think that he's too proud to enter full tank mode, which is kind of what they needed. They needed some better picks. Maybe he was lucky to get Parker and Ginobili deep first and second round picks.
Yeah.
They need a high pick, and they need to develop a high pick. And DeRozan has shown that he's a good player, but he's not good enough to carry a team. So I'd want to hope that they get some market value for him, maybe with a sign and trade. But it'll be interesting to see what they do in the offseason, how they actually make this team better. But I'm prepared for them to be bounced out in the first round.
Yeah, and I think that's expectations, really. Like I'm not sitting here going, I'm expecting them to, there's an upset on the cards. If they do upset a team, okay, fair enough. You go, yeah, fair enough. But it's not quite Spurs. Like it looks Spurs on the surface. It's Spurs. It's all shiny, and then you look under the hood and you're just like, wait a minute. That's not the Spurs under there. And I think the hot start they had was more an indicator of how good they might be in a few years. Like with this Pop system, these guys sort of keep at it. They keep working towards this Spurs system with the guys they've got. Add in a few plays here and there. LaMarcus Aldridge isn't there anymore. Sadly, he had to retire too. That was a bit of a shame for him with that heart condition. But yeah, I think they're on a decent trajectory. They can't take that bouncing out in the first round to heart. And over the next couple of years, they might grow if Pop stays around. Anything else? Paddy is a legend. We've got in our notes here. Cavs. Kevin Love's hilarious slapping the ball. That was hilarious, man.
Such a tool. He's like, I don't know what I was thinking. It's just like you're pissed off because you're on a shit team.
Yeah, exactly. Why did he sign that deal, man? Why did he sign that deal?
Cash. He's won his championship. It's just cash. He's there to get paid.
It's sad, man, because he was a good player.
Yeah, he was. He's old, and it's an Al Horford situation. But he's on a shit team that is happy to have him for the time being. He's really going to get. He's not going to get any team for less than Vetman. Like no one's going to pick that contract up. So it'll be a wave last season. Maybe he gets picked up by a contender as a bit of 6 minutes off the bench in a title run. But that seems to be the way of the future. But yeah, man, that's it's good to see Delhi back. But yeah, we'll leave the Cavs with the Cavs.
Did he get injured again?
I don't think so.
No, he's been inactive the last 2 games, so came back 10 assists against the Pels. Like he's just a dime lord, man. Absolute dime lord. I think it's great to see him back anyway. I don't really care if he's good or bad. I'm just like I'm so happy he's back on the court, especially with those neck and concussion type injuries he was having. Yeah. Like I'm just like good. Like you made it back. Like I don't even care if you're good or bad. Just it's good to see him back in Australian basketball, because I still think he has 3 or 4 years left as an Aussie. Whether it's he like has some moments for the Boomers, whether he has moments in the NBA, which maybe that's not going to happen now, whether he comes back to the NBL and has some moments. Like, I still think there's some life left in his career.
Yeah,
so it's good to see him getting back on the court. The Toronto Raptors, Bainesy's bye-bye.
Yeah, well, there's no more to say to that. I think that's just, Nick Nurse has said no more, and that wasn't a good fit for either of them. So expect for him to be moved in the off-season.
That was a weird signing, man. The more I see this, the more I'm like, that was a weird
15
signing.
15 mil 2 years. It's just like Baines was like,
snap.
Yes.
Like, I'll take that. And I even said at the start of the season, I was like, oh, it's a bad deal, man. Like, you know what you're gonna get out of Bainesy.
Yeah.
I look, to play devil's advocate on that comment, I didn't expect like not making the rotation. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I expected. I more expected, he'd play out the season, and then it would be obvious that, he's slowing down a little bit. We didn't even see whether he's slowing down a little bit, type of thing, because he didn't really get minutes. Like, he's averaging, what is he averaging? 5.8 points a game on how many minutes? Why are you not there? Let me go back. Averaging 18 minutes a game. So he averaged 22 last year for Phoenix, and then 18 this year. But I don't think that's a real representation of really what he's given them this season, which has been just like inserted into weird lineups. Like, oh, what are we doing with this guy? I didn't expect that. Like, I kind of expected him to play out a whole season and it to not be great.
Yeah.
Not get a go. It's weird.
This is also this Toronto team, so it is what you expect.
And then the last one is obviously Exum. Is he back?
Nope.
No.
Who knows? Not this season anyway.
Nah, I wonder if they're kind of go slow mode with him too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point rushing him back this year. Maybe get him fit and ready for next year. But I suppose we'll hear some more rumblings towards the end of the year and potentially the Aussie squad for Tokyo.
I'd like to see him make that squad. I don't know, like on basketball pedigree over the last year. No, he's still in a walking boot, no timetable. Updated in March, so maybe it's time for another update.
Indeed.
Basketball reference, but yeah, that Houston team, terrible. But Jay Sean Tate,
bag of cats.
How hilarious has it been? How many like people that can't say Jay Sean Tate's name? Jason Tate, Jason Tate. Jason Tate. Oh, what a bucket by Jason Tate. You're like, oh my God. Like, how many times are we going to brick this guy's name, man? It's Jay Sean. Oh, how you doing, Jason? Jason. You're like, oh my gosh. Like, gee whiz. And then, or maybe I'm bricking it. I don't know. But I've still heard like 5 different versions of his name.
It's Jay Sean.
It's so good to watch though, man.
Yes.
He'll just get dunked all over and just be like, whatever. I'll still junkyard your next play, whatever. Just love it. All right, let's leave it there. It was another good episode. We've got 10 games now until the finals. We're gonna ramp up our it's playoffs rather, not finals. We're gonna ramp up our coverage. I think.
Yep.
I think definitely. I'm ready now. I'm just like, okay, let's get to the playoffs, man. Let's just get to these playoffs.
It's been a long post All-Star break, and now it's time. I think
we're gonna skirt the play-ins. Like the hype train is going to go on, and I'm just going to be like, yeah, you have your hype train. Like that's fine. It's happening. I'm going to watch it. But I'm still just kind of like just waiting for all that to get out of the way and then the finals to drop, like the playoffs to drop. I'm like, bang, into the playoffs. All right, let's do it. All these games are going to come thick and fast. There's some big ones. Like, I think this year is going to be a real like bumper postseason.
I'm looking forward to it.
Because there's some good teams in there, man. Like Indeed. the Hawks. At the 5th seed. And then New York Knicks, the number 4 seed. Yeah, how bad the Knicks Hawks series gonna be?
Yeah, Jesus.
At the 4-5. Jesus. But man, Knicks make this. Could make the second round. Wow. All right. As always, you can like and subscribe on Aussies Taking Over the NBA. We are live right now on YouTube. We will put these up on audio format on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcast Addict rather, and Spotify. So hit up Aussies Taking Over the NBA if you want to listen to us. And yeah, as always, we will